500 years and 500 seconds with Frank the Crank Camacho for the return of ONRA Guam Fighters Journal. Journal about Guam fighters. I'm not the fighter writing the journal. Let's just get that straight. I think there's been a misunderstanding for a long time around there. I think it's because of the position of the what do you freaking call that? No, it's not a comma. It is called a
asterisk.
Not an asterisk. Oh, apostrophe. It's an apostrophe. Apostrophe should have been after the S, but somehow it came before the S, and I don't know. There you go. But I've never thought that I was the fighter. I've always thought that it was about the fighters. And actually, everybody is a fighter, but they're not necessarily fighting in martial arts or in competition. There is some kind of a fight. And really, that is ultimately what, at the core of it, that's what martial arts helps you to do. It helps you to fight for better position. Hopefully that position is rooted in better morals. But anyways, let's stop talking about that kind of stuff. 500 seconds.
Yeah.
And
but you know what's cool though is that like even in the UFC where I fight using my or the whole roster fights with their hands and their feet and their knees and their chokeholds and everything, we all have our different reasons for fighting.
Yes, we do.
Like even within the same realm of fighting, it's different battles, you know.
I agree. And that fight kind of begins of when we are born, right? We fight to see, we fight to breathe, we fight for food, we fight for attention, we fight for results, right? Some kind of results.
Yeah.
You know, it's not, I don't think fighting has ever started anywhere to make trouble. Fighting has always been just it's been like a struggle and a pursuit of a better position, right?
Correct.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's to defend your position or whatever it is, right? But anyways, okay, hey, do you remember what those 3 questions were? Okay. Years ago, what do you call that? After the 5-year stint of ONRA, Guam Fighters Journal, there came a point where a lot of the conversations that I was elaborating on in the write-up, in the bi-weekly write-up, were conversations, words pivoted off long distance conversations that we had. You were living in Maryland at the time. A lot of the brunt of honor was talking about Guam fighters fighting abroad and Marianas fighters fighting abroad, and Marianas fighters abroad doing stuff on you know what I mean, on a larger canvas with bigger events, with off-island tournaments. And at that time too, we were still in the middle of the developmental stages of mixed martial arts on Guam. You know what I mean? We were so yeah, that's what honor was for. So there came a point where I felt like I was just trying to echo what you were saying. So I said, what better way? We're talking about all of this. You were at the time living everything that we were talking about. So we thought that we would elevate the conversation by taking out the middleman, which is me, and passing the article over to you, which you never did.
and that's why we're in tomorrow time.
That's why we're in tomorrow time. So going back to that question, was going to ask, what did 5 years, you were a diligent reader of the article. I remember because I was having these conversations with you. What did ONRA miss in the 5 years of conversation that it was having with the public regarding martial arts and mixed martial arts and Mariana Island rooting?
Whew. Wow. So crazy how much goes on in 5 years. Well, me personally, you know, the goal out there, the reason why I dropped the ball on ONRA, on writing the articles, was because that year was the year that I was called to be on The Ultimate Fighter. And you know, as a pro athlete, that just kind of took over, and then it just submerged me. I never got to the articles. Next thing you know, 5 years have passed, but I've been still training. I moved back home, and just been building my name in the Guam, Micronesia, and Asian region. Fighting guys from Japan, fighting guys from Korea, because that was the plan. The UFC was having fights in Asia, about like 7 or 8 events at the time, like around 2013, 2014. And what a perfect way for me to go under the radar, instead of a very saturated fighter market in the States, to come back home, train back home, get rooted back with the culture and with the island, and build my name in the Asian region, so that in the event that there was a guy that they needed a last minute replacement, my name would be at the top of the list for the last minute call to fight in the UFC. And hey, and that's what happened.
And sure enough, almost 10 years later from that date, and you got a fight in the UFC coming up next month, correct?
Correct.
Now, having seen that in the last 10 years, we've seen the rise of mixed martial arts in the islands, and then we've seen the changes. Right now, it doesn't seem that mixed martial arts, we haven't had live events in quite a while. What do you feel is the status of mixed martial arts on Guam right now? And if anything, what would you think would be the larger picture purpose of mixed martial arts, excitement, interests, and marination in the Mariana Island, among the Mariana Island community?
Unfortunately, mixed martial arts, as far as the practitioner and the competitor and the fighter, no, sorry, not the fighter, the practitioner and the competitor, it's kind of phasing out. It's kind of hard to train for a football game if there's no football games. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard to get rid. Like, why am I gonna? It's we're in a different day and age now, to where getting ready like a professional athlete for something that will never come up, not even at the amateur level, it's difficult. And the motivation for upcoming athletes that wrestle, that play football, that play basketball, that have this athleticism that can easily translate into mixed martial arts, there's no real avenue for them. So and it's hard to get fights like in Japan or in Australia with no amateur or no experience at all. So, even with COVID more so, but even prior to COVID, there's been a halt with mixed martial arts. And really, if you kind of think about it, me, Roki, Kyle, Trev, like, we're the last of the generation of fighters, which in a way, it's kind of saddening for me. But at the same time, like, it's something that I know that I can contribute when I'm done with my professional career. I would love to, like, kind of like help the new up and comers come up, and somehow develop mixed martial arts again back home.
Word. And thankfully for other fighters, there are tomorrow fighters that are living off island that have been able to, like Herman Torado, who's been a Bellator fighter, a Strikeforce fighter. He's been fighting abroad, but even without mixed martial arts professional competition himself, Gerson Atoigui, Brian Pangilinan, these are other guys that have been able not just to be successful as mixed martial arts or jiu-jitsu competitors, but they're also instructors and gym owners. So with that, if mixed martial arts were to fade on, or what do you think was mixed martial art as a martial artist and as a mixed martial artist? What do you think that mixed martial arts, the surgence and decay, and or if anything, the whole the lifespan of mixed martial arts on Guam, what purpose do you feel that served or serves with the community?
Sorry, I'm not really getting the question. Can you ask it again?
Why do you think that mixed martial arts, it's kind of hard to say, but why do you think, because it's hard to process after seeing the rise of mixed martial arts and then seeing the goal of the islands to be the world's best and to be this world paradise and have come so close where we had this period where fighters from all around the world were coming to Guam. Guam was a mecca. People
Yeah.
were pushing to have a big event here on Guam. We were talking about mixed martial arts world champion. And right now I'm not saying that's impossible because everything is possible, but we were so close to that. But then right now with mixed martial arts, the promotional side of it, the sport of it kind of declining here on Guam and seeing how it's accelerating around the world, you know, you start to wonder if there is a 20-year lifespan of if mixed martial arts on Guam would have like a 20-year lifespan. You know, just as a freaking dreamer, I like to freaking think about why did this come here? What purpose does it serve? And was it just for competition or was it to promote promote athleticism? Was it to promote mixed Mariana Island unification? Was it to promote
Mm.
entertainment? I mean, I don't really know. Maybe I think about those things too much, but since you've had about 5 seconds to think about that, what do you think? What do you think?
Dude, no, I think about it all the time, bro. Like, I'm, it's weird. It's weird. I'm a big. I kind of like to wrap my mind around like we're like reincarnated ancient Chamorros from back in the day. You have like for my boy Jose, like Jose Juan. Like I think back in the day, as an ancient Chamorro, he would be the voyager, dude. He would be going out on the canoes to see what's out there. You know what I mean? I would never do that, dude. Forget that. I'm not going on. Dude, I'm gonna get seasick. I can barely. Like, and then you have the storytellers. You have someone like Zeng Zong or like you meet all these people, but you're really good at telling the story and passing it on. And that was a real big thing in our culture. For me, I felt like I was reincarnated of like some sort of freaking warrior. You know what I mean? Like I would fight. I would be the warrior. I would be the guy on the battlefield to fight. So whatever purpose it may be that it served us, but whatever, it's still serving me, and it's definitely a vehicle that I continue to use, to serve, right? To kind of give back, really, because I wouldn't be here without like what the island has given me, and it's I mean, the answer gets even deeper, but I don't believe there's a shelf life. I just think it just there just needs to be a resurgence, because I feel mixed martial arts is one of the only sports that we can really excel in, like at the world class level. The NBA, I don't know if Guam will ever have an NBA team that will compete with all the other NBA teams. We just don't have the genetics of height, or we don't have the genetics of size, like the Tongans and the Samoans for football. You know what I mean? But I feel with like weight classes and the will of the fighter is all within us. I think there's just something. Maybe that's just me being biased. But at the same time, I really truly believe that mixed martial arts is still can grow, and it's still very possible. It just may take a little time, but I think we have something there for the Marianas, or even for Micronesia, to excel in mixed martial arts.
And I think that, like you said, it is possible. You know what I mean? And it's great that even though that things have declined, guys like yourself, Roki, Trevin, you know what I mean? Kyle, look, we got Brandon Vera, who's won championships, heavyweight world champion, living on Guam right now.
Yeah.
It's good that we have you guys here. That ambition is still great, because it's like that foundation still exists. Years ago, when we were all going to these large Japan tournaments, which was Pride, K1, you know what I mean? And the older ones, professional Shuto, when we talked about, I remember one day there were a bunch of us talking about thinking would we ever have a Japan, an all Japan, a world champion, or somebody who could win the events there, because Japan is so Everybody
Yeah.
thinks, when you think martial arts, it's very easy to think of the Orient, right? If anything, mixed martial arts, it's really opened up the possible, has opened up that idea that anybody in the world can be champion. You don't have to be a world champion. You don't have to be Chinese or Japanese or
Yeah.
whatever, or to experience his Zen, all these gifts of martial arts. But anyways, Roki became a deep heavyweight world, a heavyweight champion. Look at Roki freaking beat Milko Krokop. Or no, he submitted Jerome LeBanner, who was a
Yeah.
K1 legend, used to walk
K1
out to
dude.
Conan. And then he gave Milko Krokop a great fight, and it could be argued if that round were to go the whole way, if it weren't for that cut, Roki could have probably won that fight, looking at the way Roki fights. I remember
You know,
Calvin Fitzgerald going out and representing Team Gracie versus Team Shamrock.
and we
That
use the
was
pad
really
holder.
pad holder, from Saipan. Look at that, you're from Saipan. Look at Patazuzu. Patazuzu got to fight, and he got to represent the US in K1 World Max. Like, who would have those things back then, they really seemed impossible, but it was really the efforts of all those guys that were training, for those guys that had the nerve and the, initiative to go and compete. That made all those things that seemed impossible, now that made that a reality. So now that mixed martial arts is kind of, it's a tougher hill to, the hill to climb to the top has become not only bigger, but it's become steeper. All these other places with larger populations are getting all this support. But with that, looking at all these things, what is the dream for you? What is your goal as a mixed martial artist?
Oh,
Or
I've never really.
as a fighter athlete, what is your goal?
Yeah, as a fighter athlete competitor, my goal is, man, I hate to say that I've never really strived to be like to have that, I never really dreamed of me holding that belt, or that to being a champion. But you know what, I've always, and this is just me with self-awareness and self-reflection, and just kind of really understanding what I want to accomplish or what I want to do is, I growing up, when I first started mixed martial arts, Sherdog.com just came out. And I just remember downloading all the highlight reels of like Vanderlei Silva in Pride, Peter Arts, knocking people out with head kicks, just all these crazy highlights. And then the countdown started to come in, with like promotional events. You see BJ Penn, when BJ Penn was at his peak, they would showcase Hawaii and they'll showcase Hilo. And for me, I've always just like a goal was just, man, one day I just want the world to see the Marianas, and whether it's for me fighting for a title or whether it's for me having a featured bout or whatever it is, that's always kind of been the goal for me. Like I've always wanted the world to see like our our beaches, our food, our fiestas, our people. That was always kind of a goal. I don't know if I ever told you that, but I've always wanted to feature the Marianas in a countdown. You know what I mean? So whatever it'll take me to get to a countdown, obviously you got to win fights, you got to be exciting, or you got to be whatever. But that's always been a goal in the UFC.
Wow. Well, that's, even though it hasn't happened in a countdown, it has happened through various other ways. You know what I mean? Whether it be your fight of the night, whether it be whatever kind of news that you brought to the table, hosting different kind of martial artists here on Guam, or sometimes what they say, you can't what Rolling Stones say, you can't always get what you want, but if you try sometimes, you just might find you get what you need, right? You ever heard that?
Yeah.
I might be getting it wrong, but I know the song sounded something like that. It sounded but
But yeah,
yeah.
it's kind of, what's kind of crazy though is that, like I'm saying, and I'm kind of bummed that mixed martial arts is on the decline and everything in back home. But we've had the most UFC fighters on the roster to date than I think we've ever had.
Yeah. And that goes to say, because it's a very evolving sport, and just to get there, that's like, before when you looked at a UFC fighter, you could say this guy sucks or this guy or whatever, this guy, whatever. Now you look at it, I think you're very bare. Your introductory athlete in UFC today
Is a tough
possibly
freaking
even,
guy, dude.
a lot of women could probably even have a chance at decking the Ultimate Fighter back in the day, Royce Gracie. I mean, like, I'm never gonna
Yeah.
put down Royce Gracie. His skills are incredible, but if you look at the skill set that's in the UFC before, and you take that same skill set from those champions to fight the competitors of today, they'd be in trouble. You know what I mean? Because
Oh man,
that
dude,
was,
the fighters nowadays are different, bro, man. It's guys are more tactical now. You're getting athletes, you're getting competitors, you know, and with and while learning martial arts.
you're getting super freaking heroes, especially with the advancement in training. It's not only like the athlete is increasing in his ability and his physicality and technique and strategy, but all of these things have evolved. Right now you're looking at all these methods of training on how to get faster, how to get quicker, all these micro details. I don't even, fuck, it's total science, man. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, even yeah, like everything has been changing even in my career, with techniques or with training methods, before even in my career lifetime, before it was train the heart, just train the heart, but now it's totally different.
yeah, if you're not in total pain after your training, you didn't train right. Now it's kind of like, I mean, I see like the way a lot of people, not everybody's training right now, but they're kind of avoiding that pain, right? Let's go make sure you're not hurt tomorrow. Let's go make sure you're not injured. Let's not try to bleed. Let's not try to do all of that. So it's become a lot more intelligent and strategic,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah, but what's the beauty of the fight game is that at the end of the day, man, sometimes you're just gonna have to pull that out and you're gonna have to just fight. And then
I
if you don't
know.
have, and if you're not you, and if that feeling, and if that pain of being tired or that pain of whatever is foreign, that could cost you. That could be the difference between defeat and victory.
Yeah. So that role of discomfort, that's still of experiencing discomfort, that's still very critical in the
Yeah. How do
training.
you balance? How do you balance that, right? And that's why I feel like that's why wrestling is the most effective freaking style to have a base on for mixed martial arts.
You think for mixed martial arts based on one set of ruling, or mixed martial arts in total?
Mixed martial arts in total, because that mental toughness, that work ethic and everything can translate to all the other martial arts. That a lot of the other martial arts kind of don't really. And then, man, you're just grind.
Now,
It's just
in terms of effectivity, right? Of combative effectivity, what if instead of in a cage, if the fight were in an open field? What would be your biggest asset there
in an open field.
in an open field?
Ooh.
Or how about this? How about on a freaking 100-foot pillar surrounded by flames? Flying, dude. Flying would be your best fucking tool. With alligators and tigers fucking on the bottom of the pit. Well, anyways, okay, that's kind of okay. I think that's been 500 seconds. Okay, let's just try to close it up with this, if possible. Could we get 3 brief statements about martial arts as a? Oh no, never mind those 3 brief statements. Do you see yourself more as a with competition? Do you see yourself more as a competitor, a fighter, or a martial artist?
So to answer your question, I think there's 4 pillars. I think you have to be a competitor, you have to be a martial artist, you have to be a fighter, but you have to also be an athlete now, you know? So
Yes.
so you know, if anything, I feel like for me, my strong points are the being a martial artist and being a fighter,
And
you
being a
know,
fighter.
and being a
Nice.
fighter. So but at the end of the day, it's a game, you know, it's a competition, and I got to learn how to compete, you know, and you have to learn how to win. You know, if you're down on the scoreboard, so what are you supposed to do? Are you supposed to, you know, are you supposed to try to set up a takedown so you can win the round? You know, so you and from different positions, you need to have that split seconds of decision making so that you can win, you know, and then that's what a competitor does. And then more so now as an athlete, even more so now, you have to be an athlete. You got to eat good, you got to take the right supplements, you got to stretch, you got to do this, you got to hydrate, you got your weight cut, you have your nutritionist, you know. So that's a whole nother aspect of being you know, of the competitor now, you know. So I think if you have like a balance of everything at 25% each, you know, you would be optimal. But at the same time, nothing is really cookie cutter, right? And but I feel that each individual needs to have a little bit of everything. I'm currently right now working on two. I mean, always working on everything, right? But the two that I've been focusing on lately is, you know, how to be a better athlete, and how do I become a better competitor? How do I make these split second decisions during sparring or during the fight, you know? uh
Yeah.
and continue to build on my martial arts mentality, and continue to learn how to effectively manage the fighter mentality, so it's not just always rah, you know, but
So
when it
that would be
takes
like the major change from Frank the Crank at 16 years old fighting his uncle to Frank the Crank now at, what are you, 32?
31.
31 years old fighting in the UFC.
Yeah, you know, because you know, so, and I think that was such a it was such a it was a early in my career, I had a lot of first round finishes, and I'm starting to get the 3 rounders now, you know. So it's crazy. I'm still learning a whole lot. Fuck, it's crazy, bro. It's weird, dude. It's so weird. I'm in the UFC and I still feel like a freaking infant.
I know. Whereas before, you look at the UFC one, it's like these guys, they were bringing in all these masters of all these martial arts, right? Like this guy's a fifth dan in this, third dan in this. He's got 15 different black belts or whatever. And really, man, it's weird because even back then, some of these guys that had all of these skills were still falling down to the overhand Chamorro, you know, to the Chamorro punch,
Yeah.
that big overhand right. But you know, it's really weird too, is that 25 plus years later, that Chamorro punch all the way from Umatic still has a way of finding its mark.
Dude. Yeah. No,
Crazy.
yeah, no, but you know what I was saying was like, in my mind, I always thought that being signed to the UFC, like when I signed the contract for the UFC, I'd be like, yeah, all my skills, I'm ready to go. I've trained all these years, let's go. But it's like I signed the contract for the UFC and it's like, holy shit, dude, there's still a lot of things to learn.
There's still a lot of things to learn. And right now,
Crazy.
how big is the fight roster right now? How many fighters are in the UFC? Maybe like 500 or 300?
Yeah, something like that.
Well,
And
maybe that
I'm
might
in the
even be
most stacked
exaggerated.
division.
And UFC is only one event. Look at that. We have one championships, which is Asia. You got
Oh gosh.
Bellator, you got PFL, you have all these, and Lord knows how many other small organizations. And then you put in the BJJ, and then you put in the older ones like the Taekwondo, Karate, Kung Fu, Wing Chun. And then you kind of break down the doors and you accept wrestling as a martial art too. And you say, holy Moses, there are a ton of martial artists in this world.
Yeah,
Are you
you get the
familiar with,
judo guy, you get judokas, you get judo, you get everything, dude.
okay, and then, yeah, and then judo, and then you're looking at the Olympic level. So Yes, so that, and then don't forget all your secret martial arts too. You know what I mean? The ones
Yeah.
that
Those
don't even
guys.
have names,
Yeah.
represented by the symbols, also formerly known as Prince. But yeah, well, I think that's been 500 seconds, and there's still like a lot more to talk about, and it's about to rain. But
Let's
right
wrap it
on. I
up.
don't know. I guess all right, 500 years and 500 seconds with Frank the Crank Camacho. One more question before the one more last question is,
Okay.
what does 500 years of what does this 500-year anniversary of the Chamorros discovering Ferdinand Magellan and his crew, what does that mean to you?
I Man, I'm gonna have, dude. That's a tough one.
It's a tough one. Well, you know what? We could save that one for later.
We'll save that one for later because
That
I'm
one
gonna
for
go
later.
off. I'm gonna go off for another 500 seconds.
Yeah,
But
and
shoot.
you could say the
But-
Inafresi too. Huh?
Okay, shoot, Rome. But thank
Okay.
you.
Shoot,
Thank
rock
you.
on.
Later.
Hey. Thanks for your time. We're waiting for your article.